Good morning to all of you. So just wait for some time till all the students can join. Then we will start the class. Okay. So in yesterday's class, we have discussed the basis of machine learning, right? So we have seen the learning system, the learning design system, all of this related to. Now, while we are talking about this or discussing about it, the thing is we are talking about the design. Now, when we are in the learning process, we have looked into this learning process, we have understand this thing. Now, when you want to design something, when you want to design a learning system, actually, we need to keep something in our mind, right? We need to keep something in our mind, some key components to design something. We need to choose some key components. So what are the key components we can talk about? The first one is the type of the training experiences. So first one is the type of training experience, right? Second one, choosing the target function. Choosing the target function. So type of training experience, choosing the target function, then representation for the typing function. Third one is the representation for the of the target function. This is my third one that we need to keep in mind. Okay. Fourth one is the approximation algorithm for the target function. So we need to find out, we need to choose a algorithm also, approximation algorithm for the target function that can be suitable for my model. So approximation algorithm that should be there. And the fifth one, that is the design. So fifth one is the model design. So model design. So these are my 5 things that we need to keep in mind while we are trying to design something. While we are trying to design something. So these 5 things we need to keep in mind when we are actually trying to design something. First one, type of training experiences. Second one, choosing the target function. Third one, representation of the target function. Fourth one, approximation algorithm. Fifth one, model design. Now, when we are looking into any problem, so these particular things we need to keep in mind, right? We need to think about it. So deciding, talking one by one. Point one, that is type of training experience. Type of training experiences. So suppose there is a problem, and for that particular problem, previously we have some work have already done that can help us to learn from that one, and then think some new or think some about new motivation on that particular problem. So there can be two possible methods. One can be the direct and second one is the indirect training experience. So if I'm talking about this type of training experience, first option that is available, that is direct experience, and second option is indirect experience. So direct and indirect experience, these two terms can be included in the type of training experience. So in direct, what happened in direct training experience, that we have already some work performance was there. So what is the process? How to process in that particular problem? What are the logic, the basics? We have to learn first. That is our direct experience. Means, as I giving an example, suppose chess. As I am talking, as I have talked or only yesterday on the chess game. So in a chess game, the keys are there. Several keys are there for the both side, white and black end. So to play the game, we need to know the basics. We need to know the logic, that what key can move up to how much room, right? What key can move from which side to which side. There are some foundation on the horses. There are some foundation, everything on king, queen, right? There's some shifting. So first we need to learn the basics, learn the logic of the game. That is called direct experience. That is called our direct experience. And in indirect experience, what happens? Previously, the some players who have played it, including us also who have played it, after knowing the logic, we are studying those games, that what, how they are playing, what are they are thinking, right? We are watching someone to learn the logic far more, to learn it, to do or to apply the logic, to think what are they thinking. So looking to that particular scenario by following others, following their work progress, that is called the indirect experience. So direct experience, that is learned by me, that I am learning the logic of the game, and indirect experience, I am looking others game, how they are working, how they have done it, and then I will think about it. So that is called the direct and indirect experience of a type of training experience. Now, in this type of training experiences, two terms more is important. That is, first one I will say, that is supervised learning. That is supervised learning. And second one is called unsupervised learning. Supervised and unsupervised learning. These two terms comes in this particular part, supervised and unsupervised learning. So supervised learning, we know the term supervise. So what is the term supervise? Is that someone can supervise us. Supervise us means a teacher. Means in a normal example, we can say it is a teacher. A supervised example learning means someone is helping us to learn it, giving the idea, that is called a supervised learning. So this learning, this supervised learning takes place by some expert. So it's this supervised learning happens in front of by some expert, or we can say that can be a teacher. So supervised learning is a process that is learned by some expert or by some teacher. And unsupervised learning, that is no one is there, means no one is there means no teacher. Learn from our end. So we have learned it from our end. We have tried it by ourselves, and then we have learned it how to do that. So the learner itself learns it. So that is called unsupervised learning. Supervised learning and unsupervised learning, these are the two basic terms in the term in the scenario, in the area of learning scenario, learning concept. So what are the types of learning concepts? Supervised and unsupervised learning. Similar, we can say the direct and indirect learning. Right. Next point, that is choosing the target function. Choosing the target function. Now, thinking about that, choosing the target function we are talking about. Now, suppose you are playing the game, you are playing the chess game. At a particular moment, when you are trying to give a move, so before proceeding for the move, you find all the possible solutions if you do that particular move. So example, suppose I am giving a move, what can be the other options available for that particular move to stop the opponent so that my keys not get out from the board, right? So we are looking all the particular probable options, all the particular moves, so that if I am playing that move, what are the doors getting open for the opponent so that the opponent can hit me, opponent can get my keys out from my board. So that is the second term, choosing the target function. We have to think wisely before giving any move in the game of chess, right? So because one wrong move in the chess, then I am on the probable of losing the game. The probability of losing the game is much high. So wisely choosing the move, that is called the choosing the target function. So choosing the target function means that what is the move in the game of chess. As an example, I am saying choosing the target function. In the same talking in it, we can say that again there are two scenarios that help us to choose the target function. One is the direct experience, means direct experience, and second one is the indirect experience. So direct experience means the teacher tells us that what I need to do, what I don't need to do, do's and don'ts of the game. So that helps us to learn, if I giving this, then what may be the options. So teacher helps us in this scenario, the teacher is helping us initially. That is called the direct experience. And indirect experience, after getting the direct experience from some expert, when I am into the game, I am playing the game each time, I am gathering some knowledge, I am gathering some experience. I am learning that what mistake I have done if I lose the game. What if I win? What mistake does opponent did, right? So I am starting the game, I am learning it from my experiences. That is called the indirect experience, that is helping us to choose the target function. Direct and indirect experience both are helping us to choose the target function, right? Third one, representing the target function, choosing or representation of the target function. Now we have find out a target function, right? So now we must choose a representation to work on that, to target function, to work on the target function. So suppose in the game of chess, one opponent, one key of the opponent can be killed by my two keys. Okay, so one key can be killed by my two keys. So which key I am choosing to kill that particular opponent? So first one in the topic, that is choosing the target function, that is from the, in the game of chess, the opponent side. Which key I want to get out, which is dangerous for me, I want to get rid from it. But to get rid from that, what key can I use from my end? There may be two or three options available. So what key can I use to get it so that the opponent cannot hit me? The opponent cannot get me into the trouble. So choosing or representation of the target function, that is the third point. Representation of the target function, right? Fourth one, that is approximation algorithm. Now, here comes the part that there are several algorithms are present in this approximation algorithm for the learning manage for this learning procedure, for this machine learning. Actually, several procedures are given. So we have to find the temporal difference, learning concept, reinforcement learning. There are several algorithms that can help us to find out. Suppose in the now coming to directly the machine learning part, what is actually done representing the target function means sorry, not approximation or algorithm for the target function. Now, what I should say, the algorithm that we are going to choose here. Suppose an example, we have built a model. we have some data sets, we have built a model, we have used some algorithm. But after train the model, after designing the model, after doing the work, we are finding out that our output or the probabilistic output is not up to the mark. What we have think, what should be the output, that is not output up to the mark. So we are having a wrong output. We are getting an error. So what we do, that we again look for the whole process, that what mistake we have done there. If any problem is there, if any weights have been misplaced, then we need to adjust the weights, we need to adjust the model, we need to look the process again. That is the approximation algorithm for the target function. So which algorithm will be most suitable for my possible or predictive output that can give me a good output, good result? That is the approximation algorithm for the target function. And last one, that is the model design. So we have to build a model, maybe it can be any type of model. So that model we need to design, and then we can find out. So one here, that is that for the modular design, that is to final design, we can talk about, there are some components. The components we need to keep in mind. So for the model design we are talking about, there are some components we need to keep in mind. That is, what are the components? First one is the component that we are talking about, that is one, the performance system. First one we are talking about into the model design, that is the performance system. Okay. Second one, after the performance system, that is the critique. So second key component of this model design, that is the critique. Third, that is the generalizer. The generalizer. What are the terms we are going to discuss, obviously, but first let me tell the terms. And fourth one is the experiment generator. Fourth one is that experiment generator. These are the terms that is used under the model design: performance system, the critique, the generalizer, and the experiment generator. Now talking about one by one, the performance system. So this performance system is actually taking the input and the output. So what happened? So get back again to the chess game. So sometimes when we are learning the game, what we do, that we play the game by ourselves, by itself actually, right? Both the end we are trying to play the game. Okay, so you people can say that is a foolish work. What is the uh, what is the needful here? What can we learn from it? Okay, because we are doing our own logic. I am playing from each end, so brain is not working up to that much. Yes, it can be, but that also helping us to learn the game. Because if I am giving this side, so what my move for the opponent side, I am thinking on that particular part. So this is the performance system where the input, output, all the things have been done by my own side. I am playing the game itself. Second one, the critique. That is taking the trace of the game as an input and output for the training examples of the target function. So now the playing the game with someone, some example of computers or some opponent there is present, and after losing the game or maybe winning the game, that is not up to the mark, some critiques have been there, that what is my wrong, what is my, so that is learned from the critique. Generalizer, the hypothesis, the algorithms we are talking about, and experiment generator, after fully set up the whole thing, now we are going to check the model, we are going to test the model. That is called these four key components of this design of the model. So performance system, critique, generalizer, and experiment generator, these are the design for the particular learning problem. Now coming back to the scenario of this learning experiences or the learning problem, if I say there are two parts, that is supervised and unsupervised learning. I have discussed already about that part. So supervised learning, that is supervised by some person, and unsupervised learning is not at all supervised some person actually, right? In this scenario, I will show you a diagram. Just a minute. Okay. I hope you people can see the diagram. So a simple diagram for the supervised learning is given here. That is saying that we have some raw data here, right? We can see some algorithm, we can see some processing and then some output. So this in supervised learning, the training set, first one is the raw data we are seeing, then some training and test data set is present there. This supervised learning algorithm analyze the training data and produces a function, right? So a data set can be trained first and producing by using some function, and to label and to grouping all the things, some regression classifications, these have been done in the supervised learning problem. So what happened here, that input raw data, we have some input raw data, and in that particular input raw data we can see that a supervisor is there. So supervisor is doing what? Previously we have the thing, for that particular problem we have some trained data set. So the data set is trained, and for that particular trained data set, what is the desired output? We know that. So if this is my trained data set, then what is the desired output? We know that. Suppose going to the example, suppose from a raw data set of dogs and cats. Okay. Suppose n number of 10,000, 20,000, 1 lakh data is there for dogs and cats. Now from that particular, we need to identify, we need to classify the dogs and cats separately. So we have the data, training data, that is dogs and cats, right? So we have the data set images of dogs and an image of cat. And in the desired output, we already know that what is the desired output. Either it can be the dogs, either it can be the cat. So from the trained data set of images of dogs and cats, we have to identify the dogs and cats separately. And for that, a supervisor is already supervised, already have that learn how to do that, what is the process, what can be the desired output. So that is the supervisor. Now in that particular thing, we are feeding some algorithm and then process. This process part is in the model. So the processing that is happening, it is in the model. So the model is processed and then we are getting our output. We are getting our output, right? So this is a simple algorithm design, the model we can talk about for a supervised learning. So the supervised learning, it is called supervised because the process of this algorithm learning from the training dataset is already supervised by someone. So that is already supervised by someone, right? So this is called the process of supervised learning. Fine. Now, there is some example is given considering some data sets of gender, age, and some label means seek healthy. What is the state of that particular patient? So by it, we can identify this is the data and this is the consist of gender, of the age, and the patient. So which after processing the model, we can classify the sick people into one part, classify the healthy people into one part. So this can be the data set which is helping us to process further. And in case of unsupervised learning, that is, I said already that there is no teacher is present actually. We have to learn it from it ourselves. We have to learn the things from ourselves. That is giving the example in a large bucket. Some random things was placed. And at that particular instant, we have to find out, we have to grouping that, we have to classify, we have to separate all the things. So we are going to look into the problem and we are going to find out that what can be the solutions, what can be the method used to get out of that particular problem, to get out of that particular problem. So we need to think instant, we need to work on that instant, and we are going to label or classify or categorize that according to the whatever the characteristics can be find out from there, whatever the characteristics we can find out from that bucket. So this is that unsupervised learning. And third one is that called reinforcement learning, that it is between some of supervised and unsupervised. The algorithm it is telling us when the answer is wrong or when the answer is correct or how the process is correct. So where the supervised and the unsupervised are coming together and trying to make it something. So the learner have some knowledge of from the supervised and then applying it as an unsupervised. So that is called the reinforcement learning. So these three type of learning, supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning are into the scenario. Okay, so these are the not needed. Now, issues. All the things are good, then it is not good. Okay, machine learning is now the trending topic, trending technique, that is well and fine, but there are some issues also with it. The advantage and disadvantage are both the sides of anything, good and bad, also the same terms, both advantage and disadvantage. So, what is the issues in machine learning? The issues are, what algorithm exists for learning general target function from specific training example? There's a lot of algorithms or functions are available. Every function by using every algorithm, we can process actually, but the output will be different each time. So we need to check that we need to first identify which one is suitable, that is giving us more output. Some maybe algorithm one is not good for this particular problem, but algorithm 2 may not work, may be good for this. Similarly, algorithm 2 may not work for other problem, but algorithm 1. So this is a problem. Then second problem is the number of data. How much training data? Okay, so for some particular problem, what can be the highest number of training data that can be trained and give us a good output? No one can say that. Even I cannot, even a good expert machine learning cannot say that, because the more data, the data, if the number of data are much higher, the more number of data you are trying to train, the model and the output will be much higher, the result will be much better. So the foundation or the limitation for the data for training data set is not at all there. So this is an issue. Something that yes, if I'm training 10,000 data sets, then my model is good. No, not at all. If we train that model with 1 lakh data sets, then the output will be much better. So this is a problem. Third issue is that when and how can prior knowledge held by the learner guide the process of generalizing the example. So study n number of examples, study n number of problems, but still there will be a better solution, still there will be a better outcome for each problem. So as this machine learning is a probabilistic thing, predictive thing. So each and every time if some new thinking come into the scenario, new logic, new designs have been created, then the output will be much better or also not much better. So there, the number of knowledge, the prior knowledge is not a foundation here. If I'm talking about considering of concept of C, if we learn this, the function pointer, etc., etc., if we learn this, so we know that we have a good concept. But in case of machine learning, it is not. We cannot say that. A machine learning expert also cannot say that. What is the best way to reduce the learning task for one or more function problems? There is no limitation or there is no saying that this is the options. These can be the options. So this is again a problem. So these are the issues that is present in our machine learning. But these issues is not that particular foundation by which we can stop. So it is not actually giving us any problem, but these are the issues, not any problem actually. And if there is a problem, then we need to find out a solution, because the problem gives us a challenge to find out a possible solution into that particular problem. So problem is good for the thinking. Next, the version basis. This is the concept of complete if it covers all positive examples. So this version based means to work on the particular problem, first we need to study whatever the solutions is present there or what can be the solutions. We need to explore all the possible ways previous past ones. So that is the possible examples. What are the examples are there? If you need to first consider or complete all the things, then this is called the version spaces. Concept need to be very clear in the case of using this machine learning. So a concept is inconsistent if it covers none of the negative examples. So if there are no negative examples after learning, after studying all the things, there is no negativity inside us to work on that, then this is called a version spaces where we can work in a positive mode. Okay. So these are the terms and representations. We will, these are the part not needed here. Not your syllabus. Okay. Okay, just wait a minute. Okay. Coming to the part, the previous part is not up to that needed in your syllabuses. So I have just skipped that because as per the syllabus, I am going to cover first, then the extra things we are going to discuss, right? The topic that is coming to the next inside this supervised and unsupervised learning. So this supervised and unsupervised learning, there is a thing that is called a decision tree. First, we need to make a decision. After looking into the problem, we need to think that what can be the output. What is the output? Not what can be the output, means we are predicting the output. So that's where comes the decision tree plays a huge role. This decision trees is an example of this supervised machine learning, that the data is continuously splitting. So we are applying some logic to split the data so that the data can be splitted from a large number of data, the data can be splitted. So this splitting of the data, we can see an example is a person fit. How we can identify that is a person fit? So we are having some questions in the decision trees. So by these questions, we can approximate that is the person fit. But these questions are the questions that can be asked only. It is not at all. Different persons have different thinking on the fit. Means whether I am fit or not, it has some different perspective. So the questions can change depending upon the person to person. It varies on the person to person. So is the person fit? His age greater than less than 30? Yes or no? Eats pizzas, exercise in the morning, yes, unfit fit. So these can be the questions. Is my healthy state good? Is my body is working fully? Is there is no problem in my body? There are several type of questions that can be asked to assure that whether it is a fit person or not. So this is a decision tree where by asking the particular questions, we are splitting the data, continuously splitting the data, and at the end, we have a conclusive answer. We have a conclusive output on this particular decision tree. So the decision node and leaf, root, node, leaf, all are the terms for tree. So the tree can be explained by these terms, that is decision nodes, decision leaves, and depending upon these decision nodes, we can split the data. And these leaves are actually the final outcome of the result. These leaves are the final outcomes for the result, right? So these are the questions. As I said, the questions may vary because not at all only these questions can be done. So these decision trees are, there are two types: classification and regression. Classification tree by simply giving some yes no types of questions, by giving some asking some yes no, whether then it can be categorical. We can categorize it by asking yes or no, true false. These are the terms. By using this, we can classification tree. And in regression tree, the data is continuous and we are using some regression logic. This is a hypothesis given. this by entropy or Shannon entropy. This is called actually. The Shannon entropy is defined by the HS. So this algorithm or the Shannon entropy, by using this algorithm, we can classify the data, we can classify the continuous data and have some result on the regression tree. So there can be two types, that is the classification tree and a regression tree. This can be the two part, right? So up to this particular part we are going to discuss today, as the time is going to end quickly. So if there is any doubt, then you people can tell me or ask me, and by the same time you people please write your name in the chat box for the attendance purpose. And if anyone have any doubt, then tell me, so I can I can answer to your query. And write your names in the chat box for attendance. Ten students are there, 6 have written their names. So all of you write down your names in the chat box. And as the LMS is down, so the notes cannot be shared right now. So the video lectures are available in the departmental YouTube channel. So those who have subscribed it will get the notification when the video will be uploaded in the department. So you people can go and check if you need it. If you want to check it again, then you people can go and get the video in the departmental YouTube channel. All the departmental classes and the videos are available in the YouTube channel. Okay. So any doubts, any query, if you have your mind, then they can tell me or ask me. Otherwise, we are going to end today's class here because the time is very short. We are going to continue the topic from here. Again, the regression tree, the algorithm, the Shannon algorithms, the ID3 algorithms, all the things will be described again in the next classes, right? So I think if you have doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, the class is going to end today. Okay. So I think there is no doubt or query coming from your end. So keeping it that mind, I will end the classes here right now. So thank you all for joining into the session, and till the next time we meet, stay safe and take care. Have a good time.